So then today we'll be talking about an interesting aspect, which is your deployments or migration of the application. So we'll talk about some new terminologies called product rule. We'll talk about wraps. Okay. Right. Now, generally, for any application you take, we will be dealing with different environments. Correct? So development would be carried out in one environment, whereas testing is carried out in another environment. Then maybe production has another environment likewise. Right? But is it really necessary to have those many environments? Why not? I can just handle all of them together on the same environment. Can I do it?
No, because we should restrict the users. Like if I have it in dev and the user is using it in the dev environment, then he
Mhm.
will be able to modify all the rules and everything, which we do not want.
Correct, correct. Okay, so one thing is definitely to restrict access for certain things. Okay, agreed. Other than that, anything else? Why are we going for different environments? Okay, let's take this
Mm,
on the dev environment. Let's assume there are like 20 to 25 developers working on it. Okay, and on the same environment, I would like to perform my testing. So, will the testing team able to proceed with the testing? Will they have a stabilized environment for testing?
no.
No. So as and when they test scenarios, more changes in the code might come, and there isn't a consistency there. Correct? So that's why what we do is
Yes.
we separate the environments for different people or for different target audience, and for also having a consistency across that application. So yes, there is a need for different environments when it comes to any application, not just Pega, but any application. General environments are your dev, QA, user acceptance, then product environment. Likewise, depending upon your project model, either from 3 to 5 different environments could be, but not less than that or not more than that. 3 to 5 is the optimal range. Now, when I have some features, okay, some code or some rules is available on the dev environment. Okay. Now I have to move my application across the environments to make sure it is properly tested and all the acceptance testing is done, and then finally it has to be moved to production. Correct? So the same code should be moved across onto the higher environments. Correct? Now this part is called your application migration. And in Pega, we do that through a product rule. Okay, so again, this is also a rule. See how interesting it is. So you are trying to put your entire application or some part of your application that you are willing to move across. So that is put in a product rule, and this rule is moved across the environments. Okay, so product rule is a collection of your entire application, in fact. Okay, right. So this product rule is going to hold all the aspects of your application. Let's assume you are doing it for the very first time. So obviously you have to move the entire application. So every rule, every data has to be moved across. Okay? So your product rule is going to consist of all the rule sets of your application and all the application data, be it your field values or whatever the data that is involved, all that has to be moved, and database schemas, the tables, all of these also have to be moved across. So everything is bundled and put together in a product rule. This product rule has to be imported and exported across the environments. Okay. Now, how is this product rule generated, or what is this called? So product rule is an extension of rule-admin-product. Okay, it's part of a class called rule-admin-product, and that's why we call it a wrap sometimes. You might have heard this in between two Pega developers. So they talk like this: boss, can you give me the wrap of your application? Which means, can you give me a backup? Or can you give me a copy of your application? Right? So either you can call it a product rule or you can call it a wrap. And this wrap is going to be in the form of a zipped archive file. You will see a zipped file being given to you when you ask for a wrap. Okay? And this zipped file has to be imported back on your new environment. Whatever is going to be your destination environment. So in that you have to import it. Okay? So you export it from the source environment, and then you import it onto the destination environment. So that's how the typical process is. Now let's see how would we be able to create this product rule. How can I create it? Because product rule, when I say, it has to consist all the details of the application. Considering it, we are doing it for the very first time. So there's no copy of my application available anywhere. So I should include all the available rules and all the access groups, operators, work queues, work groups, everything. Everything literally has to be included on my product rule. So there are two ways in which I can do this. One is a manual approach. You can create a product rule manually, as in like all the details that I said now have to be manually added onto the product rule. Okay. But do you think is there a problem with this manual creation of a product rule?
Yes, sometimes we may miss out some few rules if we do it
Exactly,
manually.
exactly. So when you're considering an entire application, you might miss few rules. Right? We might forget to add few rules, and if probably those rules are really important, that the application might not work at all. Right? So yes, it is prone to errors when we create the product rule manually. But this might be useful, or this might come in handy when I have a limited number of rules. Suppose I fixed a bug which just involved one rule. Then I can easily go ahead and create my product rule. Right? Maybe just 2 to 3 rules are modified. So it's easy for me to identify them and to move them across. Okay? So manual creation is more feasible when I have a limited number of rules. So more in the case of bug fixes or issues. And at the same time, it might be time consuming also if you start using it. Right? When you're having a large number of rules, it is time consuming. So the best possible scenario for manual product rule creation is for bug fixes and issues, or when you have a limited number of rules. Okay. Now on the other hand, there is a wizard. Right? So we call it an application packaging wizard. So this wizard is where, see, when I say wizard in Pega, it gives you a lot of details. So it itself provides you information, right? It's like a sequence, a step of a set of steps are involved, and it goes in a very organized manner. Right? Similarly, here also, the packaging wizard. So it comes with all those things available and provided by the platform, so that it's easy for me without missing out anything. It's easy for me when I'm dealing with huge applications. I can go for a packaging wizard. Right? So it shows me all the details. I can select and deselect what is required, and it's more like an organized way of generating your product rule. This is more suitable in scenarios where I have to move huge parts of the application, or if I am migrating my application for the first time, I better go for using a wizard. Okay? Right. So instead of manually entering each one of it, the system would show me the details and I can select from among. So that's how the wizard is going to work like. Okay. So we'll be looking at both of these approaches on creating the product rule.